Good morning, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and discussion for October 22nd, 2022, around 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot to talk about today, including hurricane madness setting at the sights on Mexico and a new tropical system that could be forming in the Atlantic Basin. So let's go and jump straight into everything. Taking a wide look across the tropical Atlantic this morning, we noticed that things are starting to heat up once again out there. First of all, we have Invest Area 94L, which is that area of low pressure that you see. This is now spinning away. It's not really doing much, but it's located between Bermuda and Africa at this point, moving westward at a pretty good clip, about 40 miles per hour. So it's a very fast moving tropical entity, and this does have at least some shot at developing over the next several days. And then, of course, we have Hurricane Roslyn out there in the East Pacific undergoing rapid intensification as it closes in on the Mexican coastline. In the Western Caribbean, there is some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity. This is not likely to develop into anything tropical. However, still some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity from portions of Central America, especially along the northern coastline, all the way up through portions of Jamaica and Cuba and portions of the Dominican Republic and Hispaniola as well, but nothing tropical expected to develop out of this. In the East Pacific Basin, we do have Hurricane Roslyn, which is now rapidly intensified into a major Category 3 hurricane overnight, and this will likely to continue intensifying over the next couple of hours. However, shear will begin to increase, but we notice that this is still expected to make landfall as a high-end Category 2 hurricane along the Mexican coastline sometime by tomorrow. Looking at the zoomed-in satellite imagery here on the high-resolution scale, we notice that the storm is doing pretty well today. We notice the convective burst rapidly rotating around, and that eye is trying to peer out from time to time. Now, that eye is undergoing some contraction, and of course, it will become partially obscured from time to time, and that is likely a result of these convective bursts being so intense that they are actually clouding over the eye as the storm undergoes rapid intensification. Now, this at some point will stop, but it is theoretically possible that we could actually end up with the storm getting very close to Category 4 intensity before beginning to feel the effects of that 20-knot shear. And as it approaches the coastline, obviously that train will have adverse effects, so weakening will happen, but this is likely to make landfall as a high-end Cat 2 or potentially even a Category 3 hurricane. If we look at the GFS forecast for this particular system, we notice that, again, it is going to become quite strong and will remain strong for quite some time, even all the way up until landfall sometime tomorrow. Again, this is going to be a very quick moving storm, so it's not going to have a lot of time to spin down before reaching the coastline, meaning that those strong winds will be felt along the coast, obviously, and even well inland across some of the higher elevation there, because the terrain does rapidly increase once you cross the land. So this will obviously weaken quick, but some of those wind and rainfall concerns will extend well inland after this thing dissipates. Switching gears onto the Atlantic side of everything, we have Invest Area 94L. You can see the satellite imagery here. Not really much going on with this system today, pretty devoid of convection, and that is a result of the strong shear across the area. Looking at the forecast models for this particular system, we notice that it continues on that west-northwesterly trajectory for quite some time. Eventually, it will get pretty close to Bermuda and the United States East Coast, several hundred miles away. Eventually, it looks like most of the forecast guidance turn this away from the U.S., but could be a threat to portions of Atlantic Canada, assuming this develops, but it's going to have a very hard time doing so. One of the reasons why development chances are a little bit low here, we notice that we're looking at an overlay of the precipitable water and 300 millibar wind plot. We notice that by the end of the time, as this gets closer to the United States East Coast and Bermuda, the wind shear will be increasing. We have wind vectors that are drastically changing. We have south to north wind, and we notice that the moisture field is going to be pretty strung out there, like kind of cotton candy. And that's not really going to be allowing for any significant development. I mean, this is still worth monitoring, obviously, for those folks in Bermuda and portions of the U.S. East Coast and Atlantic Canada. However, development chances look very low at this particular point, and I would not be surprised if chances actually get lowered back to 10% later today or tomorrow. Now, shifting gears here to the United States weather, we notice that today it is pretty nice and mild out there across most of the Midwest and southern U.S. Temperatures have been moderating from the cooler starts in the morning to getting up to just near 80 before lunchtime, especially across portions of the Florida Peninsula and across portions of Texas. However, we do notice that there will be a cold front diving southward across from the northern U.S., and that is likely to have reinforcing shots of cold air over the next several days. Looking here at the mean sea level pressure difference over the past 24 hours, we notice lowering pressures across portions of the northwestern U.S. This is likely to set up a storm system across the central U.S., move eastward, but it's also bringing down cooler air from portions of Canada and the Pacific, and that is likely to have reinforcing shots of cooler air moving into the central U.S. and even the eastern U.S. over the next several weeks. And we can actually see this here shaping up on the GFS forecast. We notice that towards the end of the run, we do get that storm system crossing over the Rockies. We have instability values that begin to increase, and we do have a resulting effective shower and thunderstorm activity. But we also notice on the back end of that, there's going to be this cold core area of low pressure, and that actually might cause a little bit of additional heavy rain, but potentially even snow across portions of Texas and Oklahoma, assuming it's cold enough. So that could be something to monitor for those areas as well. So with that being said, I do hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Michael O'Malley, and I'll be talking to you guys again some more tomorrow.